Good evening, my name is Garrett, and welcome to The Last Call. On tonight's Versus, we have Buffalo Trace Bourbon Whiskey coming in at a 45% ABV, no official age statement, versus Buffalo Trace Traveler Whiskey coming in at a 45% ABV, no official age statement. So here in 2024, we were graced with a new bottle from Buffalo Trace and the world went crazy. And I thought, what better way to see if it's worth the hunt than to compare it to the standard Buffalo Trace that people know and love. Now, if you're not sure about Traveler Whiskey, essentially, Chris Stapleton, who is a country music star, he paired up with the master distiller from Buffalo Trace, and they did 50 different blended whiskeys. And out of the 50, they landed on number 40 as their option for this bottling. So it is kind of a celebrity endorsed whiskey, but the idea behind this is to be a premium whiskey in its price range and all that kind of good stuff. Whereas nowadays, this is becoming more shelf stable than what it's been in the past, but some people are still having some problems or allocations on the standard Buffalo Trace. But this was flying off the shelves here in 2024. Like day one it dropped, you couldn't even get it at a lot of stores. So they might be trickling it out to more, I don't know. But the big question is, what's the big difference between a bottle of Buffalo Trace and the new Traveler Whiskey? We're going to find out. We're going to compare colors, notes, taste, wrap things up in the market price section, and pick a winner. So let's go ahead and jump into it. And as always, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, hang around for a bit. If you're interested in some of the reviews I've done over Buffalo Trace's products, they'll be linked up above and down below. You can also become a member if you're like. That's up to you. No hard feelings if you don't. Either way, pull up a chair, pour yourself something nice to drink, and let's just jump into things here. Now, during my review of the Traveler's Whiskey, I didn't think it was bad necessarily, but again, I thought, what better way to see if it's worth the hunt than compare it to standard Buffalo Trace? I mean, color-wise, that is night and day different. The standard Buffalo Trace is much darker. Now, we can make the argument that this is a bourbon, and this is just a whiskey, so do keep that in mind as well. But definitely, standard Buffalo Trace is significantly darker. So let's go for notes on the Buffalo Trace. Oh, man, I just love this nose. It's sweet, cakey. Man, I love the dark, rich fruits going on in here. Almost like a raspberry kind of over a piece of cake. Very luxurious piece of cake. Nice oak vanilla caramels. I love the cherry layer as well. I mean, that is Buffalo Trace in a glass. This is a great mash bill, tried and true. And I respect people that really do like it. Now, yes, when you step up in pricing, are there better bottles out there? Yeah. But in its mid $20 price range, it is a very solid bottle. At 45%, you're not getting any real ABV, no harsh notes, nothing off. A little bit of spice in there now. Just a little bit of that rye spice showing up. Gorgeously soft, oak vanilla caramels, almost a butterscotchy note going on for me today. But really solid on that. Let's go for notes on the Travelers. Wow, that's almost, either they're so close that I'm not telling any difference. Wow, I'm not really getting much of anything. I'm going to reset my notes here. Hold on. It's a little better. It's very soft comparatively to the Buffalo Trace. It's very refreshing. Almost got like a tart green apple going on, but there's almost a lemon zest for me now. And maybe just coming back and forth between this and the Buffalo Trace brought that out. But compared to here, you really don't get a lot of oak, the vanilla, the caramel. They're present, but it is very, very light. Very simple on the nose for this one. And it does have a little bit of ethanol on the nose. Just a little bit. It's not off-putting, but it does kind of peek through just a little bit. A little bit of spice in there too. It's very, very light. Comparatively to the Buffalo Trace, this has all the characters and qualities going on. But here it's very soft and almost it's just got very, very light ethanol going on, and it keeps showing up more and more. Not that it's bad, but again, it's aiming to be a premium quality whiskey, that ethanol does show up a little bit more for me. All right, Let's go for taste on the Buffalo Trace. I love the charry layers going on in Buffalo Trace because it starts off a little oak, vanilla, caramel, char, and then you get these kind of roasted fruit notes going on, kind of that deep, rich of the raspberry and the blackberries, and the cakiness going on, little sweetness in there. That spice from the rye that they have in their build is just enough to give you a little bit of that herbalness going on. The butterscotch shows up a little bit as well for me. This is just a good sip. To be honest, it's the new oak that's really adding a lot of complexity to this. It brings across a deeper, richer oak profile to things. The charry layers in there help draw that out even more. It's sweet, it's inviting, and it's easy drinking on the palate. It's really a hard one to beat. I love the cake layers for me on this. It's sweet. It's got this kind of, I compare it to a luxurious piece of cake where he's got a little bit of a raspberry jam going over the sides with a little bit of gel going on there. And it just kind of lightens it up just a little bit that makes your palate pop. And it's good. All right, let's go for taste on the Traveler's Whiskey. Honestly, it's really solid. You get a lot of that oak vanilla caramel profile in there, but a lot lighter. And for me, I'm pulling out this kind of Jim Beam nuttiness going on. It's got this kind of just like peanut shells or like an earthy peanut note going on for me today. And you do get a little bit of that ethanol kind of bitterness on the taste as well. It's not that it's bad necessarily, but it doesn't scream like mind-blowing, gonna change your life on what you think about whiskey's kind of taste. And actually, it's been a minute since I've had it, but it kind of gives me the vibes of almost like a Basil Hayden. And I might piss some people off by saying that, but for whatever reason, my mind's going to Basil Hayden. Yeah, it's very soft. It's simple on the palate. So it's got that little bit of the charriness going on from the cask, and just a little bit, I wouldn't quite say like a brulee effect going on here where you're torching the top of cream, but just lightly blow-torched it. And so it's just got this little bit of burnt going on. And for me, again, it reminds me of that Jim Beam profile, bringing across a lot of nuttiness, almost peanut shell-like. And I really do like Jim Beam's profile. So it's not an off note for me personally. The only thing I can really criticize on this one is the bit of ethanol I am getting on the taste. Yeah, I mean, overall, it's a nice, simple sip. There's not a lot of complexities going on. It's straightforward, and it's bringing across what they're saying, which if you look at their website, they have tasty notes, and it's pretty bog standard for a whiskey, especially one coming from Buffalo Trace. If you like Buffalo Trace's profile, it's going to be in that same kind of wheelhouse. So, let's talk about market price, because we all know market price is market price, and it's always going to vary. So, on most days, you should be able to get Buffalo Trace for right around the $24 to $25 range. Some places saying they can get it low as $22, some go as high as like $29 to $30. The Traveler's Whiskey starts off, I picked mine up at $34, and I'm already seeing it going up to $36 to $40. We don't know what secondary on this one is yet, at least from what I've seen, this being recorded a couple days after release. Personally, if this is 24 and this is 34, so this is $24.99, $34.99, this wins it. Landslide wins it. The complexities they're able to bring across in the Buffalo Trace, yes, it is bourbon, and it's bringing across a lot more of that new oak they're using. For me, that bitterness this brings across with that bit of ethanol doesn't come across as a premium whiskey for its price point. In that $30-ish, upwards to $40, I just think it's a little excessive. Yes, it's a celebrity-backed whiskey, for lack of better words. It just doesn't bring across the characters. Now, if this was, let's just say 25 to 30, and this is 22 to 26, I don't think this is necessarily a bad one. I would still say pick up Buffalo Trace if they're sitting next to each other. I just wish this had a little bit better palate to it. It's a little too soft, especially at that 45% ABV, which is identical here, and that bit of bite from that ethanol just doesn't quite do it for me. So I definitely got to give it to the Buffalo Trace. So yeah, there you have it, folks. Buffalo Trace Bourbon Whiskey versus Buffalo Trace Traveler Whiskey. If you have questions about either bottle, let me know down in the comment section below. I will do my best to answer it. And if you'd like to see any kind of bottles go up against each other as well for an A-B comparison, also let me know down below. Doing the A-B comparisons helps me learn a little bit more about the whiskeys and helps you hopefully make a conscious decision over which bottle you should probably pick up. And as always, may your last drink of the night be the best one.
You know, and I really like it might